Good morning, Nancy Nohavik Johnston. Today we're going to discuss Nazis, a term that's liberally used against Donald Trump and Elon Musk, and how it's just awful. I'm going to focus on my mother's experience. My mother and my father came over in 1951. They met in Beirut, Germany, the home of Wagner, after they were liberated from Nazi war camps. My mother was a teenager. I'm going to focus on my mother's story today, and my father's another time. And how I think using the word Nazi is just so wrong. It's so upside down and backwards. So my mother was a teenager when the world broke out. She grew up in Lvov, Poland. My father in a town outside of Prague, Czechoslovakia. They didn't know each other before the war. So my mother had 3 brothers. They lived on a farm, a small farm. They were not wealthy. The progression of the war, they recognized there was again. I just want to say there was no radio. There was no television. There were posters, there was propaganda. As we all know, Goebbels was a master propagandist. And, as time went on, if you dissented, if things didn't make sense, you were canceled. You were shunned, you disappeared. Well, before you disappeared, your business was shut down. People wouldn't speak to you. You were shunned out of the community. And these were hard times. You had to make a living. You had to, feed your family. So there was a slow progression in that how the propaganda worked. So society slowly broke down. So the term Nazi sympathizer, it's not as if they sympathized with the Nazis. They were terrorized. These people were slowly and methodically terrorized. So my mother, her family was Catholic. My father's family was Catholic as well. So the Nazis needed workers. They were killing Jews, but my mother then went on to tell me that they just made things up. The brown shirts they didn't like you, they'd kill you. They'd call you gay, they'd kill you. They'd call you this, they'd kill you, or that, whatever. You disappeared. You dissented, you disappeared. So, in the middle of the night, one night, the brown shirts came to my mother's farm. They put my mother in a girl's wagon and her brothers in a boy's wagon, and she never saw anyone again. And she was a prisoner of war. She was in a work camp. They killed people in work camps. My mother was beaten and raped while she was there, but during the journey, they were there for hours, and they finally arrived at a room, and there was this young woman who had her baby with her, and they needed young, strong women to work for them. And so my mother and they couldn't believe it because they didn't do anything wrong. They didn't dissent. Not that they sympathized. They didn't dissent. They just minded their own business. Why were they here? What was going on? You promised. So this one woman who had her baby she demanded to go back. Like, this is a mistake. So what they did, and this is shock and awe, and my father's story is similar. They took the baby and they slammed its head against the wall, and the brains went flying everywhere, and these women were terrorized. There was nothing they could do. They had to comply, because if they did that, they were just going to slaughter everybody. So my mother, again, was liberated. She came to the United States. Years later, when they came over in 1951, and when I was a young girl, I remember in school in the 60s in New Jersey, everybody thought they were a Schindler. Oh, I would never have done that. I never would have complied. No, you would have. You had no idea. My mother said, everyone turned on everyone. War is hell. It's survival of the fittest. So the Schindler wannabes were conveniently saying this in the comfort of their own home, protected by America. This was Nazi Germany. So the terrorism that's going on now with Donald Trump beforehand, before he was president, the judicial lawfare, that was a Nazi tactic. What they're doing to Elon Musk and Tesla is a Nazi tactic. So, to my intuitives, to the enlightened, the love and light crowd, wake up. What we have to do is send energy, loving energy, to our president and to those who are fighting for us. God is gifted wealth to those who can fight, because financial terrorism is also a tactic. And thank God Donald Trump had the money to fight them, and Elon Musk as well. And I pray that their wealth comes back tenfold. So I'm hoping that my spiritualist friends, and yes, spiritualism is a religion. Religions are all religions. I'm just saying that. But my enlightened friends send peace and prosperity and love to those who are in charge. Have a great day.